Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. Enrique and Vince here, and we're so excited for this week. We've been going back and forth between our questions to leadership and our interview panel, which is such a blessing. And today we have such a great guest, and it is a milestone for us. And I want Vince to introduce him.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the milestone, we've not only been stuck in the state of Florida. Perhaps stuck is not the good word. We just haven't branched out. But today we have the fortunate pleasure to branch out to the West Coast, to the great state of Texas. And with that, a 20-year friend, former airman, colleague from IAFA, it's just a pleasure to have Ben Miranda with us. He is the Director of Operation Impact and Business Development at Endeavors. So with that, let's just turn it over to Ben to give us his origin story, a little bit about the man behind that beautiful blue suit.
Good morning, Enrique and Vince. Thank you very much. I'm so blessed and excited to be here with you this morning. And a big saludo from Texas to all of you there in Florida. So again, I'm so honored and blessed. Yeah, as he said, I'm Ben Miranda. I served in the Air Force for almost 25 years, and in 2017, we made the big decision to go ahead and retire from the Air Force. But not only that, we made a big decision to go ahead and come back to El Paso, Texas. This is where I was born and raised. So what a better way to be able to come back home and continue to serve. So that's one of the things that I told myself. When I retire, I'm going to go back home to El Paso and continue to serve my community. And that's what I do. I'm invested in my community. I help and I work for a wonderful nonprofit organization. I'll have a little bit of time here in a little bit to be able to tell you a little bit more about all the wonderful things that we do. But also, it's just being invested in our community and really moving forward and championing efforts to make sure that people have better lives and serve vulnerable populations, to make sure that we give them the chance to live productive lives. So thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with both of you this morning.
It's definitely our honor to have you. And it's so good to see that not only in the service, and I thank you for that service as well, but the commitment and service has actually translated in your community, and now you're in Endeavors and doing some great things. I would like for you to take a moment and tell us about Endeavors. Tell us what you do and what you're up to.
Well, thank you. Endeavors, we're a long-standing national nonprofit organization, and we provide many services and programs that supports children, families, veterans, and those that are struggling with mental illnesses and other disabilities. But you know what? I'm very excited that this year we celebrate 51 years. Since its founding in 1969, Endeavors has helped over 16,000 veterans and their families every year to obtain a better place to live, to sleep at night, to connect with resources and employment opportunities, and access mental health services. It's our origins are from Texas, but I'm proud to say that Endeavors now operates and serves communities throughout Texas, North Carolina. We're in Florida. We were in Puerto Rico serving the population there after the hurricanes with our emergency services. So we've been planted in places where we can proudly and with honor serve our communities throughout those areas that I talked about.
Well, wow. Congratulations on the 51st anniversary of Endeavors, and for you leading the charge and hopefully employing and helping the mental health of those that are in the vulnerable populations. But you spoke of service, and I know the audience don't know much about other things you have done as well. You have, and I'll read here, you've been the co-chair for El Paso Chamber of Military and Veterans Affairs Committee, and also the co-chair of the 51st Community Veterans Engagement Board, and also the board member of El Paso Homeless Coalition Continuum of Care. So Ben, you do a lot, and I know this is the beginning of your journey and your legacy. hopefully you'll be running for office in the near future. And if you don't, you have our support. But going back to Endeavors, I know it supports Stevens A. Collins Military Family Clinic. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, thank you. You know, so the Cohen Veterans Network is also a 501c3. It's also a national not-for-profit philanthropic network of mental health clinics for post 9/11 veterans and their families. The Cohen Veterans Network is known as CVN, and CVN focuses on improving mental health outcomes with a goal to build a network of outpatient mental health clinics for veterans and their families in high-need communities where trained clinicians deliver holistic evidence-based care treatment to mental health conditions. So what we do through Endeavors, and Endeavors manages 3 out of the 15 clinics that CVN has nationwide. So we have clinics through Endeavors. We have clinics that operate in El Paso, in Killeen, in San Antonio, and that's where we provide high quality and accessible integrated mental health care to veterans and their families. And that's regardless of role, whether a veteran was discharged honorable, dishonorable, or with a general discharge. And we are here to serve the whole entire family. We will see, and we will see the spouse, the children, the parent, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the partner. So all 3 clinics are part of the Cohen Veterans Network. And it's amazing what we've been able to do to be able to assist veterans and their families with mental health care. That's who the Cohen Veterans Network is. And we're proud to be a great partner with the Cohen Veterans Network with Endeavors.
That's wonderful. And, you know, it's obvious by what we've just heard and the things that Vince has so eloquently put out there of what you do, you know, and it's amazing how service does not stop for us. It is something that's ingrained in us from the time we step off the bus, you know, for those that remember those times. and it's carried on to the community after we retire. And it's something to applaud, right? So we thank you for what you continue to do out there. And a little bit of Endeavors. I'm interested in knowing what you guys have coming up in the future.
Yeah, you know, so right now, what we're doing is really setting us up for phenomenal things that we have happening and coming up in the future. Endeavors right now also focuses, in addition to providing mental health care through the Cohen Veterans Network, we also provide community-based services. And here what we do is we continue to provide supportive housing, case management, and professional counseling, life skills, employment opportunities for 34 chronically homeless women with disabilities and children in San Antonio, and also 14 clients in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We've provided over 550 home studies as well during the last 2 months to support abused and neglected children across the state of Texas, which allows for adoption, and that's what our home studies do. Now, we also continue to employ those with disabilities through our program called Endeavors Unlimited, and here our employees deliver custodial and landscaping services throughout the state of Texas, and we're also working at the front lines of 42 essential business partners and operations with emergency services. We also provide disaster response and emergency services. This is where Endeavors provides client-focused services for short-term relief and long-term recovery for disaster victims to continue to recover from Hurricane Harvey in Texas, Hurricane Florence in North Carolina, and we've served over 20,000 victims in 2019 when it comes to our disaster and emergency services. You know, also in addition, Endeavors closed 1,674 cases with full recovery, provided over 37,000 outreach and referral cases, and had $9.4 million of resources leveraged for survivors of Hurricane Irma in Florida. So we continue to provide those services where our nation is dealing with disasters. We're there. Endeavors and our staff is there, really caring for our population and our communities there. And then lastly, too, what's coming? There's something very exciting is coming for Endeavors in the future. You know, there's a new development that Endeavors is doing. Endeavors has one of the most excited things to share with you today is that in San Antonio, in the spring of 2021, we're opening a first of a kind Endeavors Veterans Wellness Center. Nowhere in the nation is there a veteran wellness center like ours that we're going to be having open there in San Antonio coming early spring 2021. And what are we going to be providing? We're going to be providing comprehensive integrated health and wellness services to improve the quality of life for veterans, their families, military dependents, and care for the community. In addition, in our wellness center, the wellness center will also house the expansion of our Stephen A. Coyne Military Family Clinic to continue to care for post 9/11 veterans and their families with quality and accessible mental health care. And then also, suicide prevention is a priority, as you know, for our veteran wellness center and throughout our country too. So, you know, in 2017, as reported by the VA, veterans are 1.5 times more likely to die by suicide than non-veteran adults. So in the Veteran Wellness Center, we're going to be taking this to heart, and we're going to have programs, and we're going to have things for us to be able to continue to assist veterans through this suicide issue, how we prevent suicides, not only to our veterans, but for their families as well. So we're really going to have some very robust programs in place to be able to assist our veterans for suicide prevention. And as you know, Texas has the second largest population of veterans in any state of the United States. So by us having this Veteran Wellness Center in San Antonio, we're going to be able to have a lot of programs come together to really focus on providing wellness through holistic approaches, through evidence-based approaches to ensure veterans and families are taken care of. So that's what's that's what currently, in addition of the military family clinics, what Endeavors is currently doing and what we have in the horizon. We're excited about this Veteran Wellness Center that's coming next year.
I'm excited as well. It's a much needed opportunity for those that require that kind of service, you know, holistically, and grateful for Endeavors to putting that out there in San Antonio, Texas, and hopefully the footprint will expand across the other states. I know Endeavors is in North Carolina and Florida, and it has outreach in Puerto Rico. So I just hope Endeavors will continue to do what they do. So thank you for that. I'd like to know now. Let's transition a little bit and talk about a little bit about leadership here. As we know, this is a show about leadership and opportunities to see where that void or that niche or what's needed within leadership. So let's find out more about Ben and about his professional development. So let me ask this question: what professional development areas do you work on to improve your capabilities as a leader?
You know, one of the main things that I do to develop my professional development starts with my prayer life. Every morning, throughout the day, throughout tough times, throughout joys, throughout tribulations, I really contribute my leadership development from the prayer that I have. I consider prayer, meditation, silence, and just being in tune with what's going on around my surroundings to be able to develop myself and not only connect to God, but to find the true answers of what purpose do I have in this life to be able to continue to serve and to serve with an open heart. So really the start of my professional development has always started with the Word of God. And then from there, you know, I found phenomenal mentors and people that I look up to that I could emulate. So really it's prayer in combination with finding the right mentors that I want to follow and that I want to emulate to make sure that I continue to serve.
That's wonderful. And Vince and I are, you know, big proponents of getting coaching, getting mentorship. That's what we do. We know the value it has had in our military and professional life, our personal lives. And so we encourage anyone, you know, to take all of the advices that come your way, especially through mentorship and coaching, and having someone else there on your side to help you look at and see things clearly so that you can make the best choices in life, not only personally, but professionally. I'm interested in the new leaders, right, that are coming up. This is one of the areas, and a lot of them listen in to try to get some advice and some pointers. What would you say that of some advice that you received as an emerging leader that you could share with others?
You know, one of the best advice that I received is very simple, but a lot of times it's very difficult for us to put into play. And I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure out. But the best advice that I've ever given, and one that I practice every day, is this: treat people with dignity and respect, regardless of where you're at, whether you're serving in your home community, whether you go across state lines, whether you go to another country to perform a function, or if your company sends you somewhere else where you're going to be surrounded by a different, you know, by a different group of people that don't look like you, that eat different than you, that their culture is so different. It's simple. Treat people with dignity and respect. That's something that has been very useful for me. I remember multiple times where, even when traveling to other Latin American countries, you know, I speak Spanish. I'm very integrated into the Latin community, and I would travel to a foreign country in Latin America, and I still had time. I still had to take the time and to be able to learn their specific cultures. As you know, the culture in Panama is so different than the culture in Colombia. The culture in Panama and Colombia is so different than the culture in Brazil. But I couldn't go into those countries with the mindset of, I'm Latino, I already know the culture, I don't have to take time and learn their culture, they have to assimilate to me. No, what it takes is for us as leaders to really, what I call is cross-cultural leadership. And cross-cultural leadership is one where, one, you treat people with dignity and respect, but you take the time to learn their culture, their ethnicities, what they value, what they don't value, to make sure that we do not offend. And I'm not talking about, you know, taking a step back and not believing in what you believe in, but one that you say, you know what, I'm going to be a better person by treating someone with dignity and respect, but I'm going to take time to learn about who they are, what they value, and really what they take to heart. You know, treating people with dignity and respect played a big role when I was in the Middle East deployed. You know, I had to learn customs and courtesies that in this country, in the United States, we don't practice. But I took that to heart, and it really valued me when I was sitting down with the village leaders and just drinking chai tea and just having a conversation about family and about everything, and understanding that the last 2 minutes are reserved to talk about work. So I knew that if I was going to go and talk to someone, I was going to be there for hours talking about nothing regarding about work. But you had to build that relationship, and it's just basic: treat people with dignity and respect. That's the biggest leadership lesson that I've learned, and that's something that I implore any leader, anybody that's willing to lead one individual or lead thousands of individuals. You treat people with dignity and respect.
No, absolutely, Ben. That is definitely a foundation of great leadership, and empathy. Being empathetic and walking their shoes is building to that relationship, that dignity, that respect. Someone told me a long time ago, we learn in a row, but we grow in a circle. So, you know, it takes to have that circle around you to grow and to shine. So that's so important. But as we go through leadership at different levels of leadership, we all face certain challenges. So I'm just curious about, you know, what challenges you faced or back when you started your career in the Air Force or endeavors, and what challenges you're facing now.
You know, I shy away from calling them challenges, and I like to use the word opportunities. Uh, I face many opportunities in my leadership journey. You know, throughout my career, whether serving in uniform or serving out of military uniform, there's opportunities that always present themselves to me. And one of the things is I always have to have an open mind, regardless of the challenge or opportunity, because whenever we always know that we always have to hear all sides of a story before we leaders take a decisive action to be able to implement change. So I'm one that's always very careful on not to immediately react to something that's told to me with urgency, but I'm one to always diagnose. And that's something that I've trained myself to do, because as a younger leader, when I was younger, I was very impulsive with my decisions. And that a lot of times that got me in trouble, or that led me to recreate the wheel over and over and over to be able to figure out that probably I had made a mistake, or maybe I should have done something differently. So through those lessons, I've been able to mature through my leadership journey to be able to diagnose properly, to be able to have an open mind, and to be able to hear stories from all sides before I take a decision to inflict change, whether in an organization or with team dynamics, or with a program or project that I'm overseeing. And it's just having an open mind. But it takes time to be able to develop those things. Believe me, it doesn't come natural to me to be open-minded or to listen all sides, because I also have my own things that I want to, if I want to jump to a conclusion, that's human nature for us to be able to tackle something very quickly. But I've trained myself to say, hold back, listen to all sides, and make sure that you're taking the appropriate decision and the appropriate actions to make sure that it impacts the whole entire organization positively.
Yeah, I love how you put, you substitute one for the other, because really challenges are opportunities, and opportunities allow us to grow. That's what they do. They allow us to grow. I'm interested in knowing some of the strategies that you employ in growth and coming up on these opportunities. What are some of the strategies that you either teach your team or that you actually employ?
Some of the strategies in leadership that I employ, I'm a big fan of servant leadership strategies. Servant leadership is again, it's not something that comes natural to us, because many a times we automatically want to serve ourselves. But one of the things that I love to talk about in any organization that I'm at, whether in the community or even if it's a small team that I'm working with, is really employing strategies of being a servant leader. And what is a servant leader? A servant leader is one that has empathy, one that understands the whole entire story and understands the community, that understands the challenges that you have in front of you. But what are you going to do with those challenges once you confront them? So some of those strategies too, that's very important with servant leadership, is one of mentorship. So it's very important for us to provide mentorship at all levels. I have to be able to find someone that can give me sound advice, that could look at me and say, Ben, you're not going in the right direction. Someone that could be a moral compass, someone that could keep me in line when I'm trying to step out of line. But that's at all levels, from the very basic tactical level all the way to someone that's in a leadership level at the strategic level. So some of those things that I like to employ are servant leadership principles, but one that's also empowered by having a strong mentorship program in an organization, because it's very important for mentorship to work. Whenever I attract to someone, or someone attracts to me and says, I want to learn from you, Ben, I don't take that as an essence of, well, come here, let me duplicate you to be me. That's not the case of mentorship, because with mentorship, you don't want to duplicate someone that behaves, acts, and thinks like you. You want to be able to show that individual the power of what leadership is and the responsibility that you have as a leader, because you're impacting lives. Whenever someone's entrusted in you and someone is entrusted to trust in you, you're going to impact lives, not only the life of that individual, but the life of that individual's families and well-being. So I always take it to heart that when I'm in a leadership position, I have to keep in mind that I'm not only impacting that individual, but I'm impacting the whole entire family of that individual as well.
Ben, it's interesting hearing. I never heard, mentorship is not about duplication. That's pretty good. Not being a carbon copy, because we all are originals. And one point is that leadership is all about influencing. So really, they have the tools. Is really having those opportunities to grow from that. So I really highly respect and honored, and it was such a privilege just to hear your journey in your leadership quest and path. But going back to endeavors, so how do folks reach such a great organization? How do they reach you or the organization? What's their website? I mean, what can you share about ways to contact endeavors for those who need those services?
Yeah, so the easiest way for someone to contact endeavors is for anybody that would like to learn more about endeavors, ways they can support endeavors, or how to connect with the endeavors programs, is they could go to our website at www.endeavors.org. So it's endeavors.org. And in that website, you will find out about every program that we have, who we serve, how you can connect to one of our case managers, how you can connect to one of our military family clinics through the Cohen Veterans Network. So endeavors.org. That is the easiest and fastest way for anybody in our communities to be able to connect with us.
Thank you for that, Ben. And if they wanted to connect with you, how would they reach you?
Yes, and if someone wants to connect with me, they can connect with me at B as in Benjamin, B Miranda at endeavors.org. Again, B Miranda at endeavors.org. So anybody would like to send me an email, connect with me, follow up with anything that we talked about, please connect with me.
So you heard it first. B as in Benjamin Miranda at endeavors.org and www.endeavors.org are either one of those two ways to reach this either wonderful individual, a guest speaker we had, or a wonderful organization. And for Enrique and I, if you continue to tune in, if you have questions for either one of us, you can reach us at www.theleadershipvoid@gmail.com. We'll be happy and entertain your questions. We're happy to get any opportunities or challenges you're facing or anything you'd like to see us do on the show. So please reach out to us at www.theleadershipvoid@gmail.com. And Enrique, what's going on next week?
All right. Well, we go back to our questions. And so we're going to be covering our sixth question. And I'm going to leave that as a hint. But stay tuned because those questions were posed to the masses. The masses replied. And so these are your responses to our questions. And we're just addressing them in a forum. But they're very important, not only to the group that actually answered, but to leadership as a whole. So leaders and those aspiring to be leaders should be listening in to get a cue as to what is voided in leadership and how we are presenting some possible solutions to that. And so I also want to encourage those that are looking for sponsoring. We are here. If we like to wear t-shirts, we like to drink out of a mug. If you want to sponsor the show, we will be glad to do that as we speak leadership. But for all those that are listening, thank you so much. Thank you, Ben, once again, for taking the time to be with us. We're very appreciative. We know that Texas is an hour, behind us, so it's a little earlier for you. But thank you for being with us, and thank you, audience, for listening in every week. We'll be back for another show next week, and we thank you and we appreciate you.